Alrighty, I saw this video on the YouTube about Ukrainians complaining about Trump, so I'll pop in that video and take it from there.
Sure. The current leader of America is a spineless windbag.
I'm gonna do an X to doubt on that. I don't think he's spineless. He just wants to get out of Ukraine because it's costing the US a lot of money. And from what I know, under Biden, there wasn't any repayment plan. That's why Trump was like, okay, well, you gotta repay us because we've given you hundreds of billions of dollars. And that's where this rare earth deal came in. It's like, what, 50% of the profits from the Ukrainian rare earth goes to the US? Something like that. Because under Biden, it was just a blank check. That's my understanding. Now, the EU, they did this thing called loans. So the Ukraine owes the EU a lot of money in loans. That Ukrainian guy says Trump's a spineless windbag, apparently. But is he really? When was the first time Russia invaded the Ukraine? Oh yeah, right. Wasn't it under Joe Obama? Wait, did I just say Joe Obama? I'll keep it. And what did the Russians take? Well, they took Sevastopol and Crimea. And from what I understand, the Ukrainians are still crying about Crimea, saying that they want it back. You're not getting it back. And now that I'm thinking about it, the Ukraine's going to have to surrender 50% of the profits from their rare earth. And they're in debt to the EU. So how is this going to affect the Ukraine going forward? My understanding, all the Russians wanted was Crimea and that eastern part of Ukraine. And that eastern part, it was full of pro-Russian Ukrainians anyway. And that's where I think a lot of the problems come from. You have Ukrainians that are pro-Russian, and then you have Ukrainians that aren't pro-Russian. Would that start a conflict? Yes. Do I think Moscow used that as an excuse to create a buffer state? Yes. Anyway, back to the video.
I believe that if Trump wanted to end the war, he has every opportunity to do so.
Let me guess. What she means by every opportunity, she means US boots on the ground, war with Russia. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Why? The US population doesn't want another war. Politicians might, but not the people. And going to war with Russia won't be the same as war with Iraq or war with Afghanistan. Russia's a first world country with a powerful military, and moreover, they've worked out all their bugs. You know, the corruption and all that. They've gotten rid of all that. In the beginning of the Russo-Ukraine war, you heard a lot about Russian malfunctions and such. Due to what? Corporate greed. So when this woman says Trump has every opportunity to end this war, actually, not really. Because what can Trump do to Russia? The only thing he can do to Russia is go to war with Russia. And like I said, the American people don't want a war. And during his election, he made great claims that he's going to get America out of all these war zones. So if he were to go to war with Russia, his voter support would tank. Pun intended. So the only thing Trump can really do is talk and try to convince Putin to stop. And the irony with the whole 50% rare earth profit thing, the more land Russia takes, the more rare earth they take, which kind of puts the US in a bad spot. So Putin has a lot of incentive to just keep going.
It's horrible. It's unfair and horrible.
What is happening now is some kind of game that we do not understand. While they are negotiating something there, people are dying.
Yeah, it is unfair and horrible. And yeah, a lot of people have died on both sides. So I'm going to throw it out there. Can Ukraine beat Russia? Hell no. No, it can't. And why? Ukraine doesn't make any of their weapons. They might make a few drones, but everything else they get from the West. The Russians, on the other hand, I don't know if you know, but Russia's very vast, so they have lots of space to have like weapon manufacturing plants. Now here's a rumor I heard. After the fall of the Soviet Union, rather than dismantling all those weapon plants, they just mothballed them. So as soon as a war erupts, all they have to do is flick a switch, and those plants are now pumping out weapons again.
If they could make a deal or wanted to, they would have had already done it. This is just for show, to calm society down.
Our boys, girls, how many have died?
You can't play games with Putin. Look at Europe. They said, let's appease him. And he sees that he can do whatever he wants. He gets away with everything.
Do I think this is all for show? No. I think Putin is being very serious. Is he delaying? Yeah. The more he delays, the more land they can take. As for Trump, I think he's being serious too. But he made a promise to get the U.S. out of all these war zones, so he can't really do anything to Putin anyway. Because Russia's already sanctioned, isn't it? There's not much else he can do. And that one woman, she's all sad that so many boys and girls have died. Well, that could have been avoided. Could have just went to the table and negotiated with Russia. Would you have had to give up land? Yes. But then you would have avoided all those deaths. And not to mention injuries. Because like I said earlier, can Ukraine win the war? No, they can't. This woman says you can't play games with Putin. No, you can't. That's why the Ukraine should have just went to the negotiating table and tried to negotiate with Russia, rather than going to war with Russia. She goes on to say that Europe's doing appeasement with Putin. No, I don't think so. If they were doing appeasement with Putin, they wouldn't be giving all these loans and all this military hardware to Ukraine. Real appeasement would be the EU doing this. Okay, Ukraine, we're not going to give you any supplies, so you're going to have to give the Russians whatever they want. Oh, and you're not allowed to enter NATO, so you're on your own. That would be appeasement. She also says that Putin can do whatever he wants. Well, when Joe Obama was in power, he could very well do whatever he wanted. I just look at the two examples. Crimea, Sevastopol, that was under Obama. Then Eastern Ukraine, that was under Biden. So Putin obviously realized that, hey, you know what, I'll just wait till a Democrat's in power. And now a Democrat's not in power, so Putin's kind of winding down by the looks of it. Well, anyway, here's hoping the war ends. Well, that's it for my thoughts on this matter. Take care out there in Clown World.